evening, everybody. How are we? We doing well? Having fun tonight? I have just the fix for that. Maybe this is fun. Who knows? Anyway, we started Brianna Wu's abomination of a not really a debate. A debate entails talking back and forth between two people in order to argue a series of propositions in which one might establish new and interesting facts. This is something else entirely. So we started this last stream, and I said we would continue it because, goodness gracious, it's horrible. But worth watching. And I'd just like to point out that this is about the many sins and lies of Brianna Wu. And it's very clear that Brianna Wu has much to atone for, as evidenced by the fact that Connor, her sock puppet co-host thing, mentions that she should go forward with Christ. And if Brianna Wu wishes to go forward with Christ, I invite her to come here to Two Guys Talking History, where we sell indulgences, where for a mere pittance you can pay to have your sins forgiven, and you can walk forward with God. But till we know what the depth of those sins are, we cannot determine the price. So let us continue and see what price Brianna Wu must pay.
It'd be worse.
Part of it was the drug addiction. Part of it was other stuff that I was...
You should play it. That would require me to give Brianna money, and I can't do that on principle. I have played it before, and then I refunded it within the 2-hour period.
...dealing with. My family disowned me in the last 6 months of college, and I found myself homeless right after that.
So she's basically...
The last 6 months of college after 10 years of college?
Or she's basically the same as you guys. She's a self-made woman.
Out of personal curiosity, so for instance, I did the interdisciplinary degree program, which was actually a combination of 3 months.
Here we are. We have the audio. Let us listen, dear friends. This is the 2014 podcast, apparently, in which Brianna claims, once again, to have gone back to college to finish her degree, which was a misspeak, clearly, because what she actually meant to say is she slipped one morning in the kitchen, decided to stay home and bake cookies.
I've always been someone that's just pursued my passion. I've never really felt limited, and I've always been willing to take risks. So immediately after that, I said, all right, I'm going to drop out of college, and I'm going to move to D.C., and I'm going to go work in politics. And I did that. So I went and did that for a few years, and then I got out, and I'm like, I'm going to go work as a graphic designer for a few years with my self-taught skills. And I went and did that, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go finish my college degree, and I'm going to become a...
No, maybe they disowned her because she supported segregationist Trent Lott. By all accounts, her parents, too, did support Trent Lott.
...journalist, and I did investigate.
Say that one more time.
My college degree, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go finish my college degree, and I'm going to become a journalist. And I did investigative journalism for a few years. And then,
Does anybody know if there's like an investigative journalist, like an investigative report by Brianna Wu anywhere at all?
Imagine, like, because here's the thing, Brianna's not smart. This isn't like some masterful bid on her part. She's not reading the room and realizing I'm just too powerful. No one will hold me to account for this. She's actually too stupid. It's just she has so much money that it doesn't matter, which is terrifying, isn't it? That's truly how it works, literally. She is allowed to flat out lie and get caught for it. And the only thing that punishes her is her own illusory image of herself being challenged by other people. Because if she didn't care, she was like Destiny, for example, and was willing to just flat out lie and then just like, whatever, just not care. That'd be one thing, but it's really important. It's really important that you, complete stranger, recognize the brilliance that she is. Because there's nothing inside her, so if you don't, there's nothing to her.
In order to get like a major, and it was like 120 credits or so. Do you remember how many credits you got during your attendance?
I was missing, I think, a mathematics class and one other thing. So
it was just one other thing. It was just she couldn't get a degree, which she claims to have gotten multiple times because of one mathematics class, just one. By the by, there is no degree where you don't get it because of one mathematics class. Why? Because you take the mathematics class. You know what?
More to the point, like if you go to most colleges, they will have alternatives to mathematics. Like you don't have to take pre-calc or whatnot. I've seen classes where sentential logic, a philosophy course, counts for your math credit. They've had like certain like schools like SNHU have specific liberal arts math degrees where you don't even calculate things. You just write about calculating things. To a certain degree, like Math is not fun for a lot of people. Let's be like right up front about that. And that has a lot to do with the way we were taught math as kids. It was designed to be as torturous and idiotic as possible. I'm not entirely certain how many times in your life you've been called on to swiftly and accurately recall your times tables under pressure, but here we are. And also, it came out that like it turned out that in fact we did get to carry calculators with us everywhere we go. So I can see why math is like unfun for people, but there are options. Explore your local catalog. Speak to your advisors.
You know what math you need for a poli-sci and a journalism degree? You need stats. Sometimes not even.
Pretty close to an associate's or pretty close to a bachelor's?
Pretty close to a bachelor's.
Okay.
Pretty close to a bachelor's. I have more qualifications than Brianna Wu.
In that particular case, if it's just you're just missing one class, and I am also pretty close to being a professor. What? No, not really. But that's like what? Like what? It's the same gap. You could be like.
Queenman, do you have any other points that you want to make before we?
Brianna Wu, I am your expert. I literally just am. I am formally more credentialed than you in your degree that you didn't get.
To the next one?
No, I was never claiming that we still lied about this. I always said she stopped lying about it in 2015 after Milo showed the transcripts. Yeah.
Okay, well, then next point was claims to be a cybersecurity expert despite not having the credentials for that title.
She's got no experience as a cybersecurity expert from what I can tell, but yeah, go for it.
Sure. As far as a policy level of expertise, I'm not claiming
Policy level? Dude, that's
What? Okay, wait. No, cybersecurity is not a question of policy. It's a question of actions. Like you implement policy based on actions. There's no like. I understand the notion of cybersecurity. Like I probably shouldn't have given that person my email address, but oh well. What the what are you talking about?
That's
You need to let me do it.
He's muted again. He's muted again. Brianna, you're not very politically savvy. Brianna, if you want to silence people, you got to do it silently. You can't allow there to be an on-screen record of you silencing the person. That's a display of weakness. There's a reason why, for example, when like Biden gets tough questions, he doesn't just go silence that man and then everything goes on as normal because he would be pilloried for it. Same with you. It's just nobody cares about you because here's the thing. You may not have been destroyed by your like patent, like obvious stupid lies, like just insane lies that you never had to make, but you're too narcissistic not to. You have to pretend you're some kind of wunderkind. It's just like the only reason you're getting away with this is because nobody cares about you. You're a failure. Even as a political organizer, even just as somebody who just.
Let's take a look. Let's just see. This is Rebellion Pack. What are they spending? Shall we look? What have they spent this year? Grand total spent on 2024 federal elections. In June, this is as of June 1st. The last reporting was what, a month or two ago? Yeah, this is at FEC data based on June 1st. Okay. This is the most up-to-date information. What is Brianna doing? She's not spending money on issue ads. She's not spending money on candidates. She's not spending money on communications packages. What is this organization doing? Have they gotten money this year? No, they've reported no donors. There's nothing. Rebellion Pack has done nothing. What is Brianna Wu doing? No industries? They've had outliers. They've had outlays. They've had expenditures. Let's look. Let's see. They've made $1,000 in contributions. Somebody that we can't see because it's a low number. Let's just do this adding up, shall we? $58,162, $48,478, $34,742, $5,935 on fundraising, $4,049, $1,000, $155,000 they've spent on nothing, literally nothing. I'm not sure we can call Brianna Wu a political organizer Sunday. She's not organizing or politicalizing or really doing anything except actually wasting money.
Wants to be famous. You're a failure. Nobody gives a shit. This is why you're still talking about Gamergate. Like what, almost 10 years down the line? Like nobody cares. You've done nothing in all of that time. There's nothing to show for it. You haven't evolved in that much time with that much at your disposal. Like you're just a black hole. Just time and resources just disappear and spill out of our universe to be consumed by demons somewhere else.
Literally $150,000 on nothing. Everybody, have Keffels take several seats. This is the real scandal. Jesus.
So this was my congressional campaign. One of the things I ran
The
for.
congressional campaign. By the way, do you know why she lost her congressional campaign? I want you to think about this for a second, okay? I think it's Kotaku article. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. Ah, here we are, yes. Okay, now I want you to remember a major part of the country to literally have a direct influence on what the most powerful country on earth does, impacting the lives of virtually everybody in the world. And this is her excuse for why she lost. In a Twitter thread, Wu reflected on her campaign and vowed to do better in the 2020 elections. She admitted, quote, "I did not put nearly the amount of work into this that I should have."
Yes, but she's actually transcended this. She's managed to put no work into this whatsoever and still spend an obscene amount of money.
I want you to imagine the level of entitlement that it takes to say, yeah, I wanted to take part in ruling you, but it wasn't worth the effort. How dare you even admit that? Like, this is insanity. Actual insanity. Like, this tells you this person has no clue what planet they're on. Because here's the thing. Even if that's true, it's basically always true. Let's be real. People are tired. They slip. They don't do all of their work. Whatever. You're human. You're an organism. You have like.
I just want to go back to this real quick. This is last election, midterm 2022. So this is just on $230K all told spent on candidates and issues 2022 elections. A critical midterm election cycle. Just pop back over to expenditures here first. They spent nearly half as much of that money they did on administrative costs. Most of the money that this organization is taken in is being used on the organization itself to produce nothing. It gets particularly just if you come look at this. Nina Turner is who we spent the vast majority of that money on in Rebellion PAC. Lost in primary. Like, even when she tries, she's not good.
Stamina runs out. Your attention diverts. You're off your game. And it all amounts to, quote unquote, I didn't put enough work in. But to say that yeah, I tried to be the boss of all of you and to be in control of your future. But yeah, I just got kind of bored. Didn't really bother. Decided to, you know, play some Final Fantasy instead. Like, that's horrendous. This line here, like, despite like the lying about the credentials, despite the lying about.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think. Guess what? The Constitution is incredibly clear about the requirements to be a member of the House of Representatives. Must be 25, American citizen. Oh, you're an American citizen. That's it. Those are the only credentials. It does not mean that you have to have a college degree. It does not mean that you have to anything in particular special to prepare. Is that a good thing? Probably not. But it is the thing it is. The only thing that this job really demands of you is an attitude of, right? Go in and you do the thing. You surround yourself with smart people. Tell you about the thing. You think for 1 minute that Brianna Wu is going to be the person who's going to surround herself with smart people. Do you? She finds them anathema to her, right? Because if she surrounds herself with smart people, they're going to see that she herself is not smart. Do you think that she's going to do the work? No. She's not going to do the work. She's going to sit there. She's going to collect an obscene check. She's going to decide on people's lives and livelihoods while sitting in little quiet Twitter chat rooms with horrible fucking trans medicalists, laughing her way to the goddamn bank. There is no situation which, if or anything, he is not worthy to be a leader. Anyone.
Death threats, things like that. Despite the slurs, the two-facedness, pretending like, oh, I'm a friend of non-binary.
Yeah, I'm looking at this pigeons, and I mean, unless you have something else you're looking at, all this is strictly speaking above board. Although that's an awful lot of money for a person in Hawaii to be donating. Hawaii is expensive.
People in the background saying, yeah, we got to get these fuckers out of here. They're embarrassing losers. Yeah, I'm in favor of BLM. Yeah, no, guys, we gotta get these crazy, like, and so on and so forth. And by the way, regardless of what you think of any of the aforementioned, you know my thoughts on them, but regardless of what you think about any of the aforementioned, the issue here is not that she had the wrong politics. The issue here is that she lied about her politics in order to con those people into supporting her. Well, leaving all of that aside, okay? That may be.
Yeah, I think there's a very legitimate question. Is the Brianna Wu we're seeing now, who's just so aggressively cruel, and mean-spirited and just awful, is that the real Brianna Wu? Because I think it is. Because, like, this is the first time I've seen a Brianna Wu that really comports with her private, where she's cruel and she makes jokes and she has horrible things about. This is the first Brianna Wu I've seen that comports with. Like, I think we're finally seeing the real Brianna Wu. It's awful. It's just awful. It's not a person who should be. It's not a person who we should elect. Like, she's so goddamn awful. I don't think she could run as a Republican. Fuck.
Just her being conniving. But this, I did not put nearly the amount of work into this that I should have. This should be, like, career-ending. I mean, it is. She's never run again. She'll never run or win, but.
Or in my congressional campaign was taking cybersecurity very seriously. I talked to more people that I can begin to think about on cybersecurity issues.
Instantly muted again.
Yeah, true, Brooks. I mean, here he goes so fragile that.
Okay, I talk to people about issues all the time that I am not at all qualified to make policy in. We have on this channel to date talked about mental health extensively using the resources of therapists I know, or directly talking to a therapist. We've talked about women's health care in the form of abortion by talking to an advocate for it. I talk to people all the goddamn time who know things that I do not, because that's part of how you learn. It does not make me an expert. I'm not suddenly an expert in women's health care.
Saying she simply didn't try. I mean, she didn't lose because she was a fucking stupid moron. Which is also.
I mean, yeah, this person on here is asking, why did Wu and Progressive Victory separate? And that's a really good point. Brianna Wu continually calls herself a political activist. I'm not entirely certain in what capacity she's being a political activist. She's not engaging with Rebellion PAC. Rebellion PAC isn't doing anything. She's not a part of Progressive Victory. She's not a part of Progressive Victory. She is not doing anything. She's sitting on Twitter and arguing with people who don't have any power or following. That's not being a political activist. That's being unemployed.
So it's both, by the way. She lost because she didn't try, because this was always just a game. It's just make-believe. Nobody seriously thinks Brianna Wu is going to be in charge of anything serious, or should be. But moreover, she's still pretending. Like, if I really tried, we would have won. It's like, no, Brianna, you don't have the substance. You don't have the ability. You are useless. If you had not inherited hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you had not been gifted, rather, hundreds of thousands
The worst thing that could happen to Brianna Wu is people pay attention to her and find out that she doesn't know anything. Like to find out that she has the most vanilla Starbucks basic white girl opinions of all time about policy. That she just uses the word policy to try and pretend like she knows something. And I've said it again and again and again about policy. Policy is a very specific thing. You pick an issue and an objective and what you want to do to fix the issue. And then you say, I'm going to do X. We're going to put X amount of resources into this. We are going to track how these resources are utilized and what effect they have. And we are going to use that to evaluate the effectiveness of the policy. Policy is targeted. It is specific. It is not nebulous, just going, woohoo, policy, woo. Policy is like a very specific set of actions. That's it. Brianna Wu's just unemployed.
Dollars from your parents. If you had not been gifted a token involvement with Cenk Uygur's PAC, you would be homeless. You'd be in a tent right now. There are people like you all over the place, in tents. I want to modify that a little bit. They're not as bad as you.
By the way, do it again.
And you've got to understand, everyone in Congress is very, very old, and the people that serve on the committees to do cybersecurity.
No, they're not very, very old. They're, in fact, the age gap is changing. Holy crap. This isn't the 90s anymore.
Just
going to remark again briefly on the absurdity of someone claiming to be a cybersecurity expert after they have been humiliated multiple times by leaked Twitter DMs. Like, Jesus Christ.
Just don't take it.
That's actually a fairly excellent point.
Seriously, a really good example. Connor, can you help me remember what was the bill a few years ago? Was it the SOPA Act? Can you remember that?
I can Google it.
Stop Online Piracy Act. Even though I remember this. Come on, wait, let's burn through this retarded bullshit. Yeah,
He's still muted. He's still. How?
bitch.
She was one of the people on the cybersecurity.
This doesn't go very long, does it?
Tried to blame this bill, basically saying we needed to curtail First Amendment.
Let's pump those donos, guys. Pump those fucking donos. Let's go, guys. While I'm muted.
Yeah, dear friends, if you want to help support the channel and make sure that currently myself and my editor aren't sleeping outside in the cold, donate to President Sunday, either in super chat form, which is great because I can respond.
Yeah, but Jem, she's not a cybersecurity expert after leaked DMs because it just happened again. It happened twice. It's the most predictable thing in the world. What if the people inside my little circle of trust aren't trustworthy? Like the basic rule of physical fucking security, and she can't even get that right. Let alone cybersecurity.
You here, and you can exist in the only reality that really matters, or in my Patreon, which I've been reminded to link in my description. Thank you very much.
A person that is basically making this policy. So, my expertise I brought into this is I've been a tech journalist for a long time. I'd worked as a software engineer, and I'd followed it very, very carefully as someone who was very interested in that public policy. So, is expert a little bit of political juice? Sure. But I think if you listen to me talk,
it's a lot of political juice. It's doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Policy and tech specific.
It's doing like the mountain levels of lifting. Articles by Brianna Wu. An article about her in 2017. 8 Apple Watch fixes I want in the next software update. Apple Music playlist sharing is completely broken, but it's an easy fix. Metal for OS X is so huge I no longer need a Mac Pro. Controllers unleashed. Apple TV Gaming is about to get a Kraken-sized upgrade. None of these are incidentally about cybersecurity.
It's crazy how she hasn't changed a bit. I mean, she's walked back every single position she's ever had. She's pretended, like flat out lied, about holding positions that she previously had. But it's been the same pattern from go. Like, this person has not changed in 10 years.
Many appearances on Twit with Leo Laporte. I think most people would say I'd be a really big step up as far as setting the public policy on that. So you can make the appraisal the expert is a little too much. I would probably say
Thank you,
it's
Vodka.
a congressional campaign.
So you're not.
Yeah, but so like George Santos ran for Congress, lied extensively about his credentials and capabilities, and was one of the few American House of Representative members who was expelled. Like, we're not talking pittances here.
Not a cybersecurity expert at all then.
I think I would form extremely good cybersecurity policy for the country.
So you're not a cybersecurity expert at all then.
Okay,
So what policies do you think need to be formed? Like, you just keep saying the word policy over and over and over again, but we don't really know. Like, if you sit here and say, well, I think I'd form excellent policies, the next logical question is, what policy? How can I evaluate whether or not I want Brianna Wu to be making policy if she doesn't tell me what the policies are? And of course, the more astute among you will note that this is the point. This is the point of not saying what the policies are. You're not supposed to evaluate it. You're just supposed to assume that Brianna Wu is smart because she said the word policy, which incidentally is one of the weakest fucking grifts I've ever seen in my life.
I want you to think about this for a second, okay? This person who has been humiliated multiple times because she cannot help but refer to populations that she's trying to woo with 2 O's politically. She cannot help but referring to them with slurs and trying to be with the cool transmed crowd. She just can't help it. She needs to be friends with losers. So she goes into group chats, says stuff that's compromising, and then it's like, and then has a meltdown when it leaks. This is a cybersecurity expert. Can't control her DMs. Jerkle Mortar, thank you for the $5 US. Wish I could send more to help and need money for a wedding next week. Oh God, no, save money for your wedding. But thank you, I appreciate that. And Melanthios, thank you for the £10 for the squid. I'm going to update the squid thing over the next couple of days so it's more precise and so it's persistent when I close OBS. But
I'd also like to point out that last week you were saying how amazing Stardust's video on Frogan was, which included a whole section talking about how Frogan wasn't an expert because she only had a master's and 2 years experience in the field.
oh, that's good.
You know, Kuhlman kind of rubs me the wrong way, but he is a mean. He's a pit bull with a bone.
Oh, that's good. That is a good catch. Ooh. Oh yeah, there's a tingle in my spine right now.
Sure. By that metric, Brianna, you are an absolute horrific liar in your congressional ad when you're trying to take public office. Probably the worst time to lie that I can possibly imagine.
Okay, you can make that assessment.
Yep, I will make that assessment. You are a sick person, truly sick.
He's muted. She muted him. God, Brianna, you don't. Oh, it was too late, Brianna. It was too late. You should get checked for a nerve disorder. You didn't press the button fast enough. He was able to say the line. Brianna, you're getting too old for this, lady. You're getting too old.
You're never too old to be a grifter.
Old. It's not going to be cute for very long. Not even filters will save you in 5 years.
Agreements.
No, we'll let it come back. Hang on. Brianna got me.
You're getting, I guess what we're kind of doing now for the sake of flow is I'm not.
God, look at her move here. She's agitated.
What about the sake of flow? Like there's no flow. A flow would imply a back and forth. Hulaman is just sort of sitting here pounding the crap out of the remnants of Wu's reputation. It's like ding, 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 ring the bell, stop. It's a slaughter.
Yana, right? So this is her history.
She got caught out. This is not how it's supposed to go. Connor got his ass whooped.
Brianna, tap out, Brianna.
After this. Okay. He had his ear twisted. He was crying uncle, tears and snot streaming down his face. directionally.
So she's telling the story as it is. If you have like contradictory evidence, that's fine, and we can go back and forth on it. I think what's going to drag this down, though, is, for instance, if Brianna's making a response.
If maybe one party to the debate has a mute button and is muting the other party so she can monologue, yeah, that might diminish the quality of the debate, Connor, a little bit. Although one wonders why they need a moderator when it seems like they already have one in one side of the in Brianna Wu. Like you're clearly not needed.
No, Connor's a spectacularly bad corner man because he's just up there getting punched just as much.
She can moderate the debate herself.
Like, I'm not even sure how that could happen in a boxing match.
You're smugly laughing, so then you get muted every single time. Then we listen to Brianna talk for a minute. Then you say that's not true, and then we just repeat that like 30 times. That's probably not going to be decent content. So if possible,
I agree. If I stop getting muted, it'd be way better content.
Like chill on the personal shit. But
in fairness, it's better content than I've seen come out of Counter Fire before.
Muted again. He got muted again. He said, if I stop getting muted. Connor, you have fewer viewers than Queeman does. This doesn't help you. This doesn't help you at all.
More present like contradictory information or the way that you see it. Or
like, I don't understand. Like, it would be so easy. Like, you'd have to be so stupid to not just go like, excuse me, I'm still speaking. And just do that. Talk over him, interrupt. Because this looks like you're afraid. This just looks like you're scared. And I know why. Because the cybersecurity expert hasn't figured out that Queeman's streaming the StreamYard window, the StreamYard room. He's not streaming just what's in the box. She is thinking, we just see what's in the box. And if you just see what's in the box, you can't see the mute button.
In fairness, I don't think Brianna knows what's going on. Like, that's the trick of other streamers, right? You never know what they're streaming. I will, for example, if I am on with somebody, I'll have their chat on in the corner, which is kind of supposed to be a cardinal sin, but I do it anyway. Particularly if it's Sunday and I have to moderate anyhow. But, Fairy Queen, I checked her chat last time we were on together, that sort of thing. Just so I know, like, what the vibe is going. The only time I don't do that is if I am sitting on a panel in a debate. Because I need to stay on task and I don't want to have something in my eye line distracting me. And I need to be able to bring up stuff over here. But like I will be very aware of what is happening in collaborations all the time. Specifically for that reason.
God, she's so dumb.
Even if I like the people involved.
Like that, that's fine by me. Or I think that would be better content.
No, I think you've seen enough Destiny content to know that it's important to interrupt someone when they start building a whole point based on lies in the first sentence. No, I think I will keep interrupting if Brianna's going to lie.
Oh, it's so fucking based.
I'm not lying, dude.
You are. We've caught.
Yes. Brianna's entire defense here is, nah.
You're red-handed. We have the documentation. Like, it's right there. We have it in print. We have your words. We have your spoken, recorded words.
You did lie to me. You did lie. Okay, I've been muted again. I've been muted again. She can't hear it. She can't take it. She can't take it.
She's actually insane. I'm not even able to be mad at her. Like, she's ruined. This person is just botched. This is just a fake.
I want to point out something here. In terms of actual words Koeman has spoken tonight on this show, that he has been able to speak to the other side might have been a grand total of 15, 16 sentences. If that. And he's destroying her because she doesn't let him speak. Oh, shit. Like, usually you see a thing come on, public figure destroyed by facts and logic, and it's hyperbolic or ironic at best. This is just a massacre. This has to be against YouTube's terms of service. It's utterly violent. There's just it's he's destroying her because she can't even let him speak. It doesn't matter what he says. Like, he could spend the rest of the time claiming that Brianna Wu has started building her own space laser, and it wouldn't make a difference. It would undo none of what's happened.
Failed human. Like, she's going to be like this till she's old and unable to speak.
Coming into this conversation with a point of view, and you're just
look at this. It's just that
we have to answer these questions. We can go through it one at a time, but
you're not answering questions. You're not interacting.
Look how the energy changes. I was defaming her a minute ago.
Now he's muted again.
You're a minute
ago. Then unmuted.
Defaming you a minute ago. Where, like, all of a sudden now you're falling back. I thought you were going to disprove everything I said. I thought this was going to be.
So we can save this until the end, dude. But I know you probably never read a book on communication law and how this works.
What?
You've never read a book? I've never read a book on communication law.
This is that kind of crap that Not So Erudite pulls that makes her so utterly incapable of being an effective communicator. Like, you know who Exo-Jesus is? Yes, it's Jesus in an exoskeleton. Move on, woman.
Brianna, show us your bookshelf of communication law volumes. I am curious. I would love to judge Brianna whose bookshelf so badly. Does that exist? I doubt there's any books there.
Yeah, but it's all coloring books, man. All coloring books. I've also never heard the term communication law. There's libel laws. There's copyright law. There isn't really law that covers like basic everyday communication.
Look, I mean, for God's sake, this is not a person who reads. This isn't a person who thinks. This is a person who practices her facial expressions in the mirror when she's in the bathroom to make sure she doesn't tilt her head too far to the side that her filter makes it.
Maybe she means Robert's Rules of Order, but I'm pretty sure that Robert's Rules of Order pretty specifically prohibit silencing another party when it's their turn to.
Nostrils disappear, and she still doesn't get it right.
But
I think you should have to clearly explain to me what the lie
Like Robert's Rules of Order would allow Kuhlman to actually have his say.
is. Where I'm just
Jesus
lying.
Christ, Connor.
Evelina Kyle for the $2. How much of the final will be on Brianna Wu? All of it. Uno Tyrant, thanks for the $5. Wu, release this man at once. I need him to help me understand to lose. Everything in Brooks, I don't understand to lose either. Music combo for the $2. More theory. And Melanthios for the $5. Just to add also Squid that the Bataille content was great. I liked the Bataille content. I had fun with it. And it had the lowest viewership of any of my videos ever. But I'm still going to do it. Because that's just how I roll.
I can't do this if I can't get a sentence out. I'm being.
What do you mean? You've been muting him every time he speaks and then speaking for... Oh, half of this is just you speaking and digging yourself a deeper hole. It's like Sideshow Bob. She just keeps stepping on rakes.
You have been talking the entire time. I can't do this if I can't get this. You're the only one who's been allowed to speak for longer than 30 seconds. Has she ever had a real job before? Of course not. Of course not. She's never had to work before. She's never worked a day in her life. She doesn't know what work means.
Calm, he's being a jackass. This is crazy. So I know you've probably never read a book on communication law, but when you say things about people, there's some things that protect you from defamatory lawsuits. One of the major tools is reportage. This is very, very helpful. So if I can point to something and
sue him. Sue him, Brianna.
I would love it. I invite Brianna to sue him. I would. Guess what? If Brianna sues him, I will contribute to the legal fund to allow him to beat Brianna Wu. Flat out. I will sit in court right behind him with a little flag that says Woo-tastic. I don't wait, like, it's not communication law. Communication law is not the word. You're talking about, like,
sue him. What's keeping you? Do it. He defamed you. Defamed you hard.
say, I'm not saying this. I'm not claiming this. The New York Times is saying this. That is a higher level of credibility than if you were to point to, I don't know, Kiwi Farms. I never saw something from Kiwi Farms.
Brianna, here's what you need to understand, okay?
Also, it's not defamation. It's technically libel. If you had read that book on communication law, you would.
Some point in the near future, nearer than you think, because it's always nearer than you think. At some point in the near future, you're gonna get sick. You're gonna get old.
A video would be, strictly speaking, publishing.
And suddenly, you're not gonna be able to show up on stream anymore. And one of two things will happen. Actually, both will happen certainly, but one will maybe happen. The first is you will stop being able to have the energy to come on stream and defend yourself. So you will either disappear completely, and the only thing that will be remembered of you, the only thing will be when some random person on some random late night, like internet spelunking comes across you on a lolcow wiki and decides to look at like some examples of you being a patent freak liar on social media or whatever, and they get maybe a small laugh out of it. That's one, or just nobody thinks about you again. But that's it. Like you have dedicated your entire life and all of your resources to.
Brianna Wu was supposed to have disappeared for some unspecified medical event that is strikingly similar to the time frame one might have for chemo treatment or radiation treatments. She has not done that yet. Apparently, it's supposed to happen this month. I submit that Brianna Wu will be good for a laugh well after she disappears. Communications law refers to the regulation of electronic communications by wire or radio. Okay. There's some fairly significant, there are some fairly significant laws around with the FCC around wireless communication. But I don't think basic defamation can be included in that. State law and statutory law. Yeah, it's civil and it's not really regulated in the same way. Like, I don't think it would fall under regulations like the same kind of regulations. The same kind of regulations have for if you wanted to, for example, operate a ham radio, which would definitely be a section that would fall under some kind of communications law. Like, it's not the right word either way you slice it. It's like it's a civil tort, is what it is.
Making yourself into some important person, but because you're eminently not an important person, because you're actually a very bad and pathetic person, and you haven't actually taken pains to learn how to do anything, what you've focused on is spending time and resources trying to cheat and get other people to simply acknowledge you for things that you actually can't do or haven't done. And as a result, there's nothing to you. That was incoherently stated, but I think you get the gist of it. This is a person who literally just has paid their way into sitting there on the screen, but will leave no mark whatsoever, except the entertainment value of the moments when they were caught and they were exposed for what they were. And that's it. This string has stripped me of any guilt I had for my part in Gamergate. I don't think you had a part in Gamergate. Gamergate was not really much of a thing.
Careful, if you say bad things about Gamergate, Tachyon Blue shows up in your DMs, which reminds me, I need to go back to my Twitter DMs and answer them.
She is, by the way, she is the rich SJW crybully that made channels like Sargon of Akkad possible. Her sole contribution is to be the living stereotype that fueled the platforms of her ostensible.
It's worse than that, right? It's worse than that, because Brianna Wu comes on the scene screaming about feminism, about all these things, which she is actively turning into a joke. So there are real issues that women need to solve, right? Real issues brought about by patriarchy for both men and women that feminism seeks to address. And these things are worth serious discussion. They matter. And she doesn't care. All these things, like the harms that come from things like, look, intimate partner violence remains the #1 source of homicide for women. Their partners killed. There is a resurgence in maternal deaths, like in childbirth, because of the loss of Roe v. Wade. Like, all these things matter immensely. They have a very real effect. People are dying. And Brianna Wu just treats these issues like they're her own personal lunch buffet. Like it's something that she can use to elevate herself. And then once she gets there, she does nothing. She knows nothing. She's an empty suit. She is literally trying to build herself a legacy on a charnel house. Like I know it's easy. I know it's easy to pretend that these, like, people get up and they talk about things every day, and there are so many things that are going so wrong in this. So many places we could do better, and there are so many people who are desperately screaming into the void, trying to get help. This is what she does. Takes that and she pisses on it for nothing. There is nothing that comes of this. This isn't courageous on her part. She's not doing anything. Not making the world a better. She is adopting the airs of a person who cares about things. in order to be out in public. Look at me, how special I am. It, every second that she spends in the public eye takes away from people who have a message to communicate that actually matters. Every second that someone platforms her is an abomination. It's incredibly disrespectful to the people who actually have things to say, who understand the world they live in and try to make it better. Who understand that policy isn't just a ghost that one points to in the vain hope that Scrooge becomes a better man, that policies matter, that they work, that it's not the ghost of Christmas past. People like Connor and Wick should be ashamed to appear alongside someone like this. But in their case, I don't think they care much either. It'd be more productive if they all sat around and had a giant circle jerk. It put more into the world. Not this. This is just wrong.
Position, which they're actually on the same side, practically. Like, literally nothing about this person's 46-year existence has any value or goodness or interest about it. It's horrific, actually. It's horrific. If you ever find yourself like just looking at this person, just feeling angry about their lying and about the bad things, just remember that. Remember that she has to be her.
It's not that you just feel angry about the lying. The lying is incidental to the fact that what the lies are in the service of. Like, I could even see my way clear to someone doing a little white lie time to time in order to do some good. If it was going to save some kids' lives, it was going to do a little bit of good in the world, sure. If Brianna Wu saying that she's a cybersecurity expert was going to save somebody's life, then let her be a fucking cybersecurity expert for 5 minutes. But it's not. It is not in the service of anything. It's not in the service of a cause. Like, look at this. Look at this. There's nothing here. There's no one donating. Like Rebellion Pack? There's nothing here. They're not spending money on things. They're not doing things. They're just sort of sitting there, existing, sucking resources. Where do you think this $150,000 could go? What do you think it could do? Maybe there's a tiny little district somewhere where $3,000 can make all the difference and get a progressive elected. You're never going to find them from here, though. If these things matter, look, not everybody can do active. Some people, the extent of their participation might be to. Not everybody can. That's okay. Like, big changes can happen because a handful of people care quite a lot. Good things can come of a couple people working together to do a good thing. This takes from that. This takes from community organizing, growing a community garden. It takes from getting words out, building candidates, and building networks. And the same thing applies to progressive. Such a provincial view of politics, focusing merely on the federal level. Like, there are so many places where such a little bit can go so far. It's not being seen by these people because they don't do these things because they want to do good. They do these things to glorify themselves. Which gets to me, like, it gets to me on a personal level. Because I know so many people who do. I know teachers, soldiers, people who spend their days in service quietly, doing what they can to make things around them better, to hold people accountable, to do the right thing. There are so many people who could take this resources that they've expended on nothing and change lives with them. YouTube's notification system will forever be inconsistent. Discord is probably the best place to figure out where we are live. In either the Cathedral or my Discord will have tags for
At the end of the day. This is a shell of a person. It's actually hard to say it's a shell of a person because I'm not aware of any manifestation of a person there at any point at all. Like it's horrific. This is not where you want to be. Like if you gave me a choice, okay? If you gave me a choice between a 5% chance of having what I have now and a 100% chance of having everything Brianna Wu had, but I had to be Brianna Wu, I'd take the 5% in a heartbeat.
There. So I think when you're publishing things and putting it out there and you're ignoring contradictory evidence, to be really clear, I don't have any.
First of all, you haven't presented any contradictory evidence. Second of all, and I think I have to agree with Sunday here. I have, since having kidney disease, I am a shell of what people thought I was capable of. But I still think I'm 1,000 times more efficacious than Brianna Wu. Just because I simply don't try to take from others who are trying to do good things.
Intention of suing anyone today, but one of the reasons I won my lawsuit against Alex
right.
Jones.
What do you mean Gamergate wasn't a thing? I mean Gamergate is like it's not at all the thing of importance that she made it out to be, and the people who were involved in it really didn't do anything. Like it was pretty meaningless.
Is I was aware of these standards and I tailored
Like
the public
it's violently meaningless. Nobody cares.
comments to meet the standards of defamation, which is why Alex Jones was not successful. So that's what I was saying.
I didn't source Kiwi Farms for any of this stuff. That's okay.
And by the way, he's allowed to. You're allowed to source Kiwi Farms for stuff. Just so you know, if information's out there, you are not obligated.
So I accidentally ended up reading through some of the stuff on Kiwi Farms page for Brianna Wu, and I'll be frank, they weren't great. I had a very icky feeling, but like he's right here. I don't think I'd participate, but I don't necessarily think that they are wrong by default.
Obligated to not avail yourself of it. You shouldn't partake in Kiwi Farms. You shouldn't do the kinds of things that they do. But if there's information posted there that you can make use of, there is no law that says you can't do that. That would be incredibly stupid actually to refuse to if it was there. If someone was caught in a lie and that information happened to be provided by a bad person, you would be a fool to not use it.
All on the web archive. It's all in various articles written online. I actually did cite that David Whitmer article you mentioned. I didn't remember his name, but I do actually have the article in there. I have actually read that article, so I'm perfectly
It's
aware
a
of
good
that.
piece.
So it says,
It contradicts other evidence that you're putting out there.
oh yeah, what does it contradict?
No, it doesn't.
You don't know, do you?
If you're claiming that I claimed to go to Old Miss for a decade, that's not true.
You claimed it before that article came out. You claimed it before that article came out.
No, I didn't.
Yes,
I didn't
yeah,
go
the
to
time
Old Miss for a decade. I moved to
you've got the timeline modeled here.
He's muted again. Did you see her arm move too? I'm gonna go back a little bit. Look at.
So the statement that Brianna Wu was sued by Alex Jones for was he didn't just send child to Sandy Hook families, he threatened to murder them on air. That's not defamatory by any standard. It's not like, okay, if you live in the United States of America, it's very difficult for you to it's very difficult for you to defame someone. You have an incredible amount of leeway between what statements you make and what's defamatory. Thank you, Rotguts. We'll get back to foreign policy next week. I've been sitting on this Israel stuff about the ceasefire because it's hard for me to figure out who's telling the truth at the moment and what's actually happening. Once I have an idea, we'll go on it. It's not good though. Like it's basically what Hamas offered 3 weeks ago. But yeah, it's really hard to defame someone if you're in the United States. And it's really hard to prove that you've defamed someone. The standard is quite high. This is not true if you're in the United Kingdom. I believe Canada has a very similar legal standard as well. And most Commonwealth countries have a very similar standard. It's kind of the inverse. If you have Paramount Plus, there's a really good wife episode that goes over the difference between the American set of defamation laws and Australia is a Commonwealth country with the same set of laws, and the difference between the United Kingdom. it has in it yeah, season 2, episode 14, net worth. Is no, that's not the right one. Mission episode, United Kingdom. It has Lizzie Izzard. That's her new, no, Lily. What's her new name? Death Zone. 3rd season. For the record, the person formerly Susie Izzard. That is her not dead name. Susie Izzard. As a lawyer who does a fantastic job as an actress.
Look at her arm. She's doing it. It's not Connor.
Standards, and I tailored my public
Why
content
is her mouse so far away from?
to meet the standards of defamation, which is why Alex Jones was not successful. So that's what I was saying.
I didn't source Kiwi Farms for any of this stuff.
Okay.
That's okay. It's all on the web archive. It's all in various articles written online. I actually did cite that David Whitmer article you mentioned. I didn't remember his name, but I do actually have the article in there. I have actually read that article, so I'm perfectly
It's
aware
a good
of that.
piece.
So
It contradicts other evidence that you're putting out there.
Oh yeah, what does it contradict?
If you're claiming that
Okay, watch her arm. Watch her arm right here. Watch when the mute button goes up, and watch Connor.
claim to go to Ole Miss for a decade, that's not true.
You claimed it before the article came out. You claimed it before the article came out.
No, I didn't.
Yes, yes.
Pretty easy to find too. We can just go back and start subpoenaing attendance records.
The type, you've got you've got the time.
It's there are so she didn't go to Ole Miss for a decade. What it looks like she did is she switched between that and a satellite school, but that was connected to it. But I think they were functionally in the same system.
Time when model take. You
See your arm? Did you see that? See it one more time.
It's not true.
You claimed it before the article came out.
Let me zoom it in. Let me zoom it in a little bit just so you can see it up close. Cybersecurity expert.
You claimed it before the article came out.
No, I didn't.
Yes,
I didn't
yeah.
go
The time. You've got the timeline model take. You were lying.
There it is.
This filter's horrible.
Timeline model take. You were lying.
There it is.
Horrible filter.
Like actual inflatable clown person.
Think about having okay.
I went to Millsaps, I think, for
Inflatable clowns bring people joy or terror. Brianna Wu is just a flat thing on a screen. Like she's just a wax statue. She literally looks like a wax statue. Someone call Madame Cessard. Probably as smart as the wax statue too.
a year, and then I worked on my startup, and then I moved to DC. So there it is.
Okay, you were claiming to have a degree before this article came out. So this article doesn't contradict anything.
That's true. We got it right here. We got it right here. Sunday was on the case. One thing I learned while getting...
This is embarrassing. It's been an hour and a half, and we're still on this degree thing in which she's been thoroughly defeated. And she just keeps saying, nah-uh, nah-uh. Nah-uh is not nearly the effective defense that you think it is.
My degree... Oh, that's the Congress one. That's the wrong one. Here we go. Based on my undergraduate degree... My degree is in journalism and poli-sci. Like, I'm sorry, Brianna. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's worse. Not only does Brianna Wu claim to have a degree when she doesn't have one, she claims she double majored. The person who couldn't be bothered to put in the work to run for Congress double majored.
Connor sold out for $Bucks. I don't know about that. I think Connor... This is what I think about Connor. Connor with one N, moderator here. I think Connor is a weak and effeminate man who feels big when he has rich friends and needs to feel big, so he needs to keep his rich friends or his famous friends or whoever. And I feel sorry for him. Truly, it's a sad position to be in.
That is true, because the degree
Connor, can we keep going?
it was revealed. You're lying to me, Brianna, straight up, because you were outed as not having a degree in 2015. This was released in 2016.
Okay,
sorry,
if you
April
want to say that me as an internet anonymous person misspoke at some point, that's
No.
No, but you're not an anonymous person. You are a person who is choosing to become a public figure. It's not like everything I did before I became a well-known doesn't count is not the argument you think it is. You don't stop being the sum totality of you as a person because you were known one day and not known the other day. Did she do debates when she was? Well, no, she never got past the primary. She was never polling within a substantial amount. Like, she got 23% of the vote the one time she actually stood in an election. She was never a substantive challenger to her opponent. I would be amazed if her opponent bothered to think about her at all. Guess what? In most cases, a politician, particularly an American politician, won't take a debate with someone who has no chance of beating them. Why would I do that? It's a waste of my time. I can only lose. If I'm already winning, why do it? A debate buys me nothing. If I'm already winning by over 70%, I might sleep in. Fuck.
You said it multiple times. Multiple times. We have you on audio saying you went back to college to finish your degree. You can't misspeak 4, 5, 6, 7 times. It doesn't work that way.
It's not just then. We established that. It was when you were
I like Connor. I root for him. I don't dislike Connor, but like, truly, like, be a man. This is pathetic.
like in Gamergate. When you were public,
extremely honest.
Counterpoints doesn't. Shallow. Like, just shallow. He's like. He's just bad gotchas. Like, I don't particularly dislike him, but there's nothing firing back there. There's no like deep thoughts by Jack Hannity. Like, not particularly clever. His jokes are mean-spirited. Without being funny. Like, I guess you doesn't have to dislike him, but there's nothing to like about him either.
And
That's
direct
not-
with people about this. And I'm telling you right now, I did not successfully get my college degree.
I muted
I
again.
would hope that most people out there would understand that I had drug addiction at the time. and my
Look at this
family
desperate plea for
was funding the
trauma.
very last bit of it,
I didn't lie. It was the cocaine.
which would left me homeless,
The white bunny made me do it.
which was an incredibly stressful situation.
Follow the white rabbit to a van down by the river. That might be an entirely too old of a reference for most of you.
You know, it's something I used to feel really guilty about.
Okay,
And honestly, it's
don't
not
care.
affected my life that much.
I think the play for trauma is very pathetic and manipulative and
I'm just
narcissistic.
telling you the truth of what happened. You don't
no,
have
it's
to
a-
believe it.
If you told anybody the truth of what happened anywhere, that would be extraordinarily out of character, and then I really would be concerned for your mental health.
It's a desperate manipulation tactic because you've repeatedly
Oh, it just so happens that the truth is incredibly sympathetic to me.
lied to me in this conversation when I brought up specific instances. I brought up your
And now he's muted again. He needs to give his balls a tug. No, he needs to, like, do that a few times.
Stop cutting me off. You cut me off.
Can we keep the show going then?
Well, okay.
The point of the show is to refute Kuhlman. If you do not refute Kuhlman, then what is the point of keeping the show going?
He's not muting them. It's not Connor. Connor's not muting this. She's muting it. Like, Connor, this is embarrassing. You have children. They can see this. They can see you being whoosh by some rando witch creep. Does it say witch creep? That doesn't matter. Some random.
Actually, I would tend to agree, but not because of this specifically. I would tend to agree, though, that the after show of Chud that they did, I hope his kids never see that. Like, I'd be so embarrassed if I had kids and they saw that, me talking like, defending this kind of behavior.
Rando rich creep in public. That's embarrassing. This is forever. You can turn it around. You can stop. You can suddenly be an actual human, and people will actually take you seriously and like you and respect you for it. Actual people.
But I want to point out this dynamic.
Yeah, they can actively, Connor, your children can actively see their father being bought at market. Right now they're young. They're going to get older. They're going to get older and they're going to be better than you. And this is not going to go well.
Because if we keep doing this, then it's going to be just as toxic as it is right now for the next like hour.
Yes.
So that's kind of where I would borderline prefer Queeman to kind of bring up his criticisms rather than us.
Why does she pretend that Connor is meeting him? She's kind of a bad person. That would be because she's kind of a bad person. She is botched. Like, we're not even talking like conniving like a cynical politician. We're meeting just bad. This is like Eric Cartman levels of infantility here. Like, we're not talking about someone, we're talking about like a Joffrey character. We're not talking about someone who is cold. We're talking about someone who is hot, but deeply, violently pathetic.
Flowing through it because right
Okay,
now.
so we have. Okay, it's fine. We can move on. We can move past it.
Hold on.
Oh, I just want-
Hold on. I just want to. Okay, so I want to point out.
See, that's the thing. You can tell it's not Connor's meeting because this is not Connor's style. Connor will say, hold on. I've spoken to Connor. We've argued and I've talked over him. He's talked over me and he doesn't mute. He's not like that. He's actually not a coward like that. I actually have some regard for that. But this dynamic looks bad. Cersei, I'd say? No, Cersei has balls.
The formulaic.
Cersei's an evil bitch. Cersei will mute you and will tell you that she muted you because it will make her feel strong. That's not what this is.
Okay. Cersei is probably as underhanded as Brianna Wu is, though. Once Cersei beat... No, he was saying it in a sense of energy-wise, not in a sense of appearance. Probably important to remember at this point that Sunday is quite gay. Happy Pride Month, everyone. Well, Warhammer 40k is really easy to do content on. Like, here's the thing about Warhammer 40k content. I've kind of avoided it, despite people asking me to. It's all derivative. Like, all the successful Warhammer 40k channels are just people who sit and they read codex entries, and that's it. Like, and the ones who don't are just disturbing. Major Kill, disturbing. Arch Warhast, whatever the hell he's called now, just a Nazi. There could be some interesting discussions around Warhammer 40k with like other people involved in the lore, but just talking about the stuff isn't really stuff that's not very well tread and boring. You're a Targaryen apologist yourself. Well, as long as we can all agree that House Hightower sucks.
Dynamic. Okay. So, the formulaic dynamic is I wrote down all the criticisms.
I'm gonna snap.
The video.
I'm gonna snap.
Queen
I'm losing
basically
it.
got a 20-minute head start by doing the video.
See it again? Right there. Look at this. Okay. Who's our moves?
So,
All right, this is enough iteration.
In order to be more credentialed.
Let's finish with this.
No, listen, mate. Listen, people want to get back to the drama. Any more takes on Brianna Wu?
Yes.
Yeah, Connor. She lied multiple times on that stream about having about not saying that she had credentials that she doesn't have. Like you caught that, right? Like we have her in text and in audio saying that she finished a degree, that she has a degree, using that in arguments. Like you caught that. Like Brianna just flat out lied.
So,
like in front of you.
what I would need in order to say it's a lie, right?
Yeah.
I would need the original, and I'm sure Queeman has this on standby, by the way.
I have it
He does. It's in the video.
on standby, as a matter of fact. I can put it into the group chat. Would you like to see it right now?
Sure. So
Sweet.
the statement. So I would like to see the statement, and I would like to see if it's in audio or text format, right?
Well, she said, well, hang on. She said in the debate you had with Queeman that she had never made false claims about her credentials. That was in that debate. It was just watched here.
Debate is a very generous word, but yes.
So if anybody wants to confirm, I think you should be able to just rewind.
So what I would say this is Brianna. Brianna's a friend. So what I would say to Brianna, this is what I told her this morning, this is what I'll tell her again, is that
Brianna Wu is never going to be caught by the mainstream. Yeah, she's not actually doing anything. Pointed out here. What is Brianna Wu doing? Nothing. Nothing whatsoever. And she has an excellent shield, right? Destiny is currently cavorting around Israel with Lonerbox. Destiny will get paid attention to because it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll long before anyone ever pays attention to a sad little woman who decided to one day pretend to be a college graduate and a cybersecurity expert, and who made the world's worst video game with an all-time height of 12 players. Yeah, like they're gonna talk about Destiny and what Destiny's long before they ever talk about Brianna Wu. And that's a remote possibility.
When you say things like, well, I was on drugs at the time, I was fighting with my family, I was being disowned, I was homeless, that was 10 years ago, all that kind of stuff. It kind of becomes this like ethereal, miasmic past in which people can't really nail down what was said, when, where, why, and how.
She lived rent-free somewhere and received $200,000.
But that's the point, right? If she makes a bunch of lies and sad stories that no one can verify, then that's the same thing as lying. That's just obfuscating things.
Dollars from her parents. She was not homeless.
Look, right now, apparently Loanerbox and Destiny are the West Bank, and I swear to God, the IDF has the opportunity to do the funniest fucking thing.
Okay.
That's comical. So, I'm sorry. That's a laughable statement, Connor.
Okay.
You should be offended by this as somebody who actually had to work for a living.
Okay. As somebody who had to work for a living, I can actually claim some level of poverty at some points in my college career, because despite having the GI Bill and despite my parents being well off, my parents didn't pay for my education. The GI Bill was not enough to pay my bills. And so I was literally taking out a payday lending service for 6 months at 500%.
Okay. Not that student loans are great, or that they aren't exploitative in their own right, but a payday lending service to pay for your bill, like, okay. Most people I know who take out student loans take out a fairly substantial chunk of money and use portions of the loans for everyday expenses. Part of college. It's just how it goes. Don't get payday loans. Payday loans are awful. We should get rid of payday loans and bring back postal service banking.
Interest, because it was either that or get evicted.
And I believe you. Brianna has never experienced this in her life. This is not an experience Brianna has.
So hold on though. So my point is, if I want to claim, as a matter of fact, one of Chud's thing that made me, fall in love with him, in a platonic way, was when he was talking about how he was so broke.
I actually feel for Chud at this point.
He couldn't eat meat. He could only eat carbs, because real brokies fucking know what it's like to sacrifice protein in order to just get carbs in order to survive, right? So the point is, I could trot out these things like,
I'm going to point out that is a real low level of poverty. Like I am blessed to not have to do this. I could make a bit of ground beef go quite far, some onion and a couple other things, but that's a real significant level of poverty.
Poor fucking me. But if you look into my history, my parents are actually relatively well-to-do.
But this has nothing to do with Brianna. Get to it, Connor. Come on.
Currently live in a decent city. My kids go to a decent school. It's a public school, but it's
okay. But why are we talking about this, Connor? We're talking about this, Connor, because we're talking about this, Connor, because she's bringing up her tale. She's bringing up her tale of woe in order to justify lying about her credentials, lying about X, Y, and Z. Because it's just in the fog of trauma, but that doesn't wash. She had more resources and more protections and more help at her disposal than anyone you know.
Okay. So what I would recommend to Brianna as a friend is making
She's not your friend. She's not your friend, Connor. She threw you under the bus. You look like an idiot right now because you're defending her because she...
No, Connor's parents didn't give him $100K. That's why I had to join the Marine.
Convinced you to at your cost.
Also, apparently didn't give him good life advice because he joined the Marine. Army's where it's at, kids.
Guess what? Chud.
No Army, Pete Navy.
And Queeman were sweeping for me 10 minutes ago. They're my friends now. They're coming down with me. And guess what? We're being friendly right now. You're coming down with me too.
Congratulations, President Sunday, on your newfound friendship with Connor. May you have many years of sniping at one another productively.
Best friends. We're road dogs. So, anyways,
I'm going to stand on top of you for as long as you'll float.
Oh my God.
Well, I'm going to grab your belt and drag you down with me.
Connor, you and I can be friends as long as you think Dark Angels are a loyalist chapter of Space Marines.
So anyways.
Wear a belt.
Come on, can we stick Okay.
So-
go on. Go.
Okay.
Go.
So, as a internet
Jumped. Air Force is the easy life. Okay, you know what Air Force is? Air Force is a lot of things. It's not necessarily easy. My high school's JROTC program was Air Force. I was very much surrounded by the Air Force as a kid. There was a Civil Air Patrol squadron that was around us. I participated in for a while, and I still chose to go Army. What does that tell you? That when the time came, I decided I didn't want anything to do with it. And it's not like I didn't know. So we had an opportunity to go down to Scott Air Force Base in Southern Illinois, which is a nice base. It's hot as hell, but it's a nice base for some summer stuff one year. And I was flabbergasted. And I went back the next year as an instructor, and I was just flabbergasted by I could buy a whole plate of food for $2. And you get this entire a whole tray just full of food for $2. And you get this entire attitude military, oh, you have to take care of all your stuff. They clear the trays. It's like freaking catering, man. Oh no, we're still on Woo indirectly.
as a friend, I would encourage Brianna to narrativize her past, to explain the who, what, when, where, why, and how of each specific moment, own the bullshit, and then say what is
Maybe she should put it into a book. Maybe call it something like Brianna Woo, My Struggle.
true, and then move forward with what is true.
Why
That is
do you
my
think she hasn't
advice.
done that already,
I think that'd be an excellent way to relaunch her new political life.
Connor?
If I had to guess, presuming that everything that you guys are saying is correct, it's because she's probably been alive in the political realm, in which hyperbole and framing and public
You
perception
don't think it's
are
because
important.
she managed to turn herself into the star of a massive controversy only by obfuscating and muddling facts again and again and again to escape being pinned down on anything? And
I respect the grind here, Kilament, but the problem is if you ask Connor that if what he thinks, he's going to say no. He's incredibly slippery. He's not going to be an honest interlocutor.
only now, after a decade, has she actually been pushed to her face in public on a lot of these details. Do you not think maybe that might be the problem, Connor?
Well, even if that were the case, President Sunday and I are both cultural Christians, right? So we believe in the principles of atonement.
I'm not even entirely certain what that means, by the way. Is that like non-practicing Jewish person or something? Or non-observant Jew, non-observant Muslim, culturally Christian? And if you are culturally Christian and not observing it, then to pick up the concept of forgiveness is a little odd.
And mercy and forgiveness and walking
divine
with God.
judgment, yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean, it's just as Christian to go in and flip over Woo's table and tell her to get out of your temple.
divine judgment. So if Brianna were to own her shit and to come up with a narrative that made sense and to chronologize everything and to atone for her sins and to basically walk with God going forward, so to speak, even if you don't.
I mean, it's not strictly speaking ungodly to assault someone with a pair of she-bears.
Believe in a personal God, then I wouldn't have any fucking problems with what she's doing. As a matter of fact,
Mass floods are not out of the question.
I kind of like the shifts that I see in her. But obviously you have to root this on a solid foundation or it does fall apart.
Yeah, you kind of have to die to be born again, right? That's the whole thing. So the problem with Brianna is that she hasn't actually accepted responsibility for any of this. She's just kind of hoping if she plays nice now, that her friends will sweep for her as they're doing here.
Something.
Beg your pardon?
You're saying the
Metaphorically, we're talking about Christianity here.
Oh my God.
Well, in this case, Queen is taking on the role of the Jews. He's judging. He's taking on the role of Pontius Pilate.
Pontius Pilate was not Jewish, he was Roman. Pontius Pilate, the one who tried Jesus. The Pharisees were the ones who accused him. Just so we're clear.
And so Pontius Pilate has rendered his verdict, and now it's up to Brianna on whether or not she dies and is resurrected. Thank you for playing your role as the Jews, Queen. I appreciate it.
I think I got called anti-Semitic this week.
It's every day of my life.
And actually, you know what?
Chud. You know what? Chud is the Romans because he's the man who's
Right.
washing his hands of everything.
He's
Dude,
like,
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Connor's connection and understanding of the Gospels is flawed at best.
I'm just
Like it was just Easter last month. Come on, man.
I'm here to have a good time. You know, have a laugh.
yeah, you're a Roman governor. You're a Roman governor judging Jesus. That's what's going on right now.
Nice.
Look, Roman governors had a hard job. They had to govern places that people didn't want them in, particularly in Judea.
That sounds fun. I like that.
Okay, Connor, how many other people do you know, even at like Destiny's level of politics, who have falsified credentials?
All
Isn't that a not insubstantial amount of Destiny's Circle? I don't even think Brianna wants to be one of the good ones. I think she wants to pretend to be one of the good ones. I think she wants the benefits of that, but she's perfectly happy being a two-faced liar and talking shit about those people behind their backs. She doesn't want to be one of the good ones. There are people who make a solid effort, who make a very substantial effort to turn around and be one of the good ones. They will twist and turn in the wind to do that. Brianna Wu is not one of those people. She just wants to be a bitch.
of them.
It's a good answer, actually.
Okay, but wait. There's a difference between, like, you know, there's a difference between, like, making that a little, like, you know, referring to yourself in a little slightly better way, right? Like, you refer to yourself in a more advantageous way as a role or something like that, right? Like, you know, when I worked in sales, I may have referred to myself as like some sort of advisor or something to make myself sound a bit zhuzhier, right? But I never would have said I've got a degree because I don't have a degree. There's a difference between a little bit of spin to make yourself sound better and lying about a fact of the matter, i.e. having a degree.
Cool. So she needs to atone for her sins.
But do you acknowledge, though, that if she said she has
In an hour and a half. Brianna Wu, we have it right here. Brianna Wu must atone for her sins. And we here at Two Guys Talking History want to help Brianna Wu atone for her sins. So we offer her the option to buy an indulgence. Right there in the description box, Brianna, all you have to do is go and use the donate option. $200, your sins are forgiven. Go forth in love and peace. And if anyone else wishes to be atoned for any sins, you are free to donate as well. We are in the giving mood here. With that, I want to leave you tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming out. We are going to figure out what the schedule is going forward. Obviously, we were very off on doing things with, both of the two guys. So stay tuned. Hetman is actually planning to take a trip out here to Colorado in the near future. So we probably are going to try to arrange to do a show in the same room. It'll be a two-guy special event. And afterwards, I'm taping an actual microphone to him back to Illinois. Actually, I'll be giving it to him because that's a much better way to make sure it actually... That's beside. Have a good night, everybody.